to reality. Nigeria is a poor country, Governor Soludo tells Nigerians. Can you imagine? So if Nigeria is a poor country, how did we get here? And what are we doing to get out of it? Because poverty is not natural. It must have been created by mismanagement of resources at some point by some people, okay, that probably were saddled with the responsibility of stewarding and managing those national resources. So the poverty that Nigeria has found itself was not, I mean, has been self-inflicted and inflicted to Nigerians by the politicians. Okay. So now that they are saying that Nigeria is poor, how do they get here and what, okay, can be done to salvage the situation? That is the question we're asking now. Don't tell us the problem. We already know that Nigeria is poor and we already know how we got here to some point. So what are we going to do to get back online or on track? That is the big question that Soludo need to answer. The Anambra State Governor, Governor Chukwuma Soludo, has said that it is high time Nigerians and their leaders wake up to the reality that Nigeria is a poor country. Governor Soludo, who said this on Tuesday while speaking at the 9th Delegates Conference of the Nigerian Union of Teachers NUT Anambra State Wing, said that Nigerians should learn to live within the country's means. He asked Nigerian leaders to live and demonstrate to Nigerians that the country is poor, noting that the reality of the fuel subsidy removed by President Bola Tinubu's administration affected everybody, not just civil servants. Soludo, who commended President Tinubu for the fuel subsidy removal, described the move as necessary, saying it has the potential to re-engineer the nation's economy. It is high time for the country to wake up to the reality that it is a poor country and began to live within its means. So you are saying Nigerians should live within its means. Meanwhile, we have bloated government. The highest cost of governance in the world is in Nigeria. So what is government doing to, for the country to live within its means? Starting from those in leadership, there was a need to begin to live and demonstrate to the people that Nigeria is a poor country. The reality of the subsidy removal affected everybody, not just civil servants. The present administration's plan to cushion the effects was all-encompassing, including immediate and medium-term efforts, the governor said. So he promised that his government would recruit more teachers and continue to give accessible and quality education to the people of the state. So what he's telling us now is Nigeria is poor. Okay? But meanwhile, each individual politician in Nigeria is richer than Nigeria. So how can you say that? Nigeria as a nation is poor, but politicians are extremely rich, richer than some countries in Africa. Okay? Nigeria is poor, but politicians are still busy looting the nation's funds and resources and keeping them abroad. Okay? Nigeria is poor, and meanwhile, the lawmakers, the legislators are sharing huge amount of money among themselves. Nigeria is poor. Tinubu is already having over 45 cabinet members. In fact, over 50 cabinet members, apart from ministers, special assistants, presidential aides, and all of that put together. Okay? And we are saying Nigeria is poor. Meanwhile, the politicians who are in power are living in affluence. So how can you resolve that? A country where politicians are extremely rich and the gap between the rich and the poor has become so wide that it's going to be difficult to close. It's now unimaginable. So what kind of story does Soludo has to tell us or reason for our being poor? You have not told us why we are poor, but we know that it is political looting that has made Nigeria poor. Not that we're not blessed, not that God has not given us the resources for us to be the best country in the world, but politicians have been our problem. Let them wait. Say they are complaining about the coup in Niger. Already, Guinea, Burkina Faso and Mali are military rule. Niger is now joined. And now, as at this morning, Gabon has joined. Military are taking over in Gabon and has sacked the president of Gabon. Simple. So all these Francophone countries, Now it is high time we know that the problems we have both internally and externally will need to be resolved in a very radical manner. So this is a very welcome development in Gabon actually, because these presidents that we have in West Africa or in African countries are being used as stooge by the West, to loot African resources and then to also continue to perpetuate corrupt leaders in the office for their own selfish gain. So, Soludo, you've told us Nigeria is poor. You've not told us how we got here, and you've not told us what we're going to do to get out of it. And that is what Nigerians want to hear. Someone say it is the politicians that make the country poor, and that is true. Agreed. Point of correction, sir. Nigeria is a rich country with poor leaders. Okay? But the politicians are wealthy. You are lying, sir. Nigeria is not poor as country, but poor in leadership selection. That is it. Nigeria is not a poor country. You politicians are misgoverning it. Exactly. Nigeria is very rich in resources, but very poor in governance. That is it. People are classifying and categorizing the statement now, streamlining it and letting them know exactly what it is. Okay. Wow. How many vehicles are in your convoy as a state governor? How many does the British Prime Minister use? Professor? That's a big question you have to ask yourself. You are telling us Nigeria is poor and we need to live within our means. Are you living within your means as a governor? You and your family? No. Somebody said you are one of the people who make Nigeria poor. It is you politicians that turned Nigeria into poverty. God made Nigeria to be greatly rich. Irony, that is it. So Soludo's statement is ironical. That is what this man is trying to say. That is the opposite. Nigeria is a poor country that has the richest leaders and all politicians on earth. Not be juju be that. Now juju be that now. The like of you have made Nigeria poor. You milk Nigeria. I have always known. Story for the gods. With wealthy politicians, Abi. So Nigeria is poor with wealthy politicians. The country is not poor. It is you and your selfish colleagues that made it like it is poor. Exactly. Mismanagement of funds and resources. We know a very long time ago. That is what he's been told here. Point of correction, Nigeria is not a poor country, but bad governance is our problem. That is it. There is no equal right in this country. Few are enjoying the wealth of the country while almost the country is starving. Almost everybody in the country is starving. Are you people living like you want us to live? Happy? This is a very bad one, actually. Simple solution to make Nigeria rich. Let the politicians earn the minimum wage and be owed 3 years' salary and delay the pensions and gratuities. Nigeria will become rich again. Is Nigeria oil different from Saudi Arabia oil? No, now. Nigeria oil is about the best oil in the world, being the burning light, okay, low impurity and low sulfur, sweet and light crude. Okay, is Nigeria oil different from Saudi Arabia? It is not. It is not. Yes, removing subsidy and naira devaluation is a good idea. It's not a good idea, of course. That is the question this guy is asking. It was not a good idea at this time. It would have been a good idea if we had some measures in place to manage it. But now that we don't have, then it is not a good idea. Okay? I'm telling you, Soludo's statement has met a lot of backlash, and people have proved him wrong. Nigeria is not poor. Politicians have made Nigeria poor. Nigeria is not poor as a country. It's poor in leadership. Thank you for listening, and let's have your comment.